those on YouTube. And again, another warm welcome to all of you. I'm going to begin with a story this morning. There once was a merchant of jewels who attended an auction of sorts for various precious gems of all types. The merchant was wise and had lots of experience in the business. Almost everyone in that circle knew and respected her. Even so, there were gasps when she purchased an extremely large diamond with amazing clarity. There was a stranger hanging in the back of the venue, and he was looking for an opportunity to make some money. So he decided that he would follow this merchant and steal this large, expensive gem that she just purchased, as he was quite skilled at his craft of thievery and deception. The stranger followed the merchant on a 3-day train ride and was covertly searching for the purchased diamond. After almost 72 hours, the stranger came to the merchant and confessed his plan, exasperated. He said to the woman, "Look, I've looked every place possible and cannot find this diamond. I give up. It's driving me crazy. Just tell me where it is." And the merchant smiled and replied, "Yes, I noticed you at the auction and that you have been following me for the past 3 days. I was suspicious and I figured out your motives, so I placed the diamond in the one place where you would never find it, in your own pocket." The treasure we seek is closer than we imagine. It's within. The core of our being, our true self, which is deeply connected to our higher power. Our higher power is within us, woven in between each breath that we take, whether we acknowledge that or not. And if you're like me, most times we simply forget that that is true. And we may also have a nasty habit of self-sufficiency, aka relying on ourselves instead of our higher power. That brings us to the theme today, which is refuge. Refuge is the state of being safe or sheltered from pursuit, danger, or difficulty. A place or situation providing safety and shelter. In addition to this formal definition, when I think of the term refuge, I think of not only physical, but emotional safety. I think of the word home, not necessarily as an actual place, but a state of being where I am accepted truly as I am, in an environment of grace and mercy and love. For those who like images, we can think of refuge as a towering stone castle protecting us from the weapons of those who wish to harm us. But on the other hand, I also think of refuge as a source of comfort, a soft landing place to insulate us from the harshness of the world. It would have soft things and calming sounds, definitely lots of baby animals of all kinds. So we seek refuge from the world in general, from other people, and sometimes even from ourselves. The point of all of this is to examine where we turn for refuge when the going gets tough. Because for many of us, it has been alcohol, drugs, spending, sex, food, and the like that we have deemed the solution to our problem from which we are seeking refuge. And I would go a bit deeper and say that it might be more about the feelings we are avoiding that have come about because of our problems. And we all have problems. The feelings we have tried to escape are largely fear, sadness, pain, physical and emotional. No one wants to feel these. No one wants to suffer. But we all do in this life. And our substance or behavior of choice did provide some relief at one time, or else we wouldn't have continued to seek refuge in it. But these and others like them offer only false refuge. The Buddhist take on refuge is not a place to hide as much as it is a way of thinking. Buddhists generally use the phrase, go for refuge, or take refuge, because refuge is an active process. It moves us toward reconnecting, re-belonging, and remembering. Because we tend to disconnect, isolate, and forget. In Buddhism, refuge is about putting a meaningful direction into our lives. And that direction is to work on ourselves to overcome all our shortcomings, character defects, and realize all our potentials to be the best help to ourselves and to those around us. Buddhist refuge is about changing our state of mind. This means deepening our understanding of what gives life purpose and what will bring us happiness now and in the future. In short, Buddhist refuge protects us from suffering with orientation toward the three areas of awareness, truth, and loving community. These help us to discover a better way to experience a joyful haven of calm in contrast to the troubles of life. And if you resonate with any of these Buddhist principles, be sure to go to our Recovery Dharma group on Monday nights. You may have noticed in the readings this morning that the word refuge was mentioned over and over again. I am a thematic girl, so the readings are going to set up the theme for the day. So, a fun little game might be that you try to guess the theme from the readings before I say it in the message. And I know the reading portion isn't recorded for YouTube folks, but if you reach out to me, I'd be happy to email them to you. Our Islamic reading this morning was very detailed in all the times to seek refuge in Allah. At its core, refuge in Islam embodies a profound seeking of protection, solace, and divine shelter. It signifies a spiritual anchor, a shield against life's adversities, and a source of strength amidst trials. Seeking refuge is an act of surrender to the boundless mercy and protection of Allah, a plea for safeguarding from harm and evil. It's a gesture of humility, a recognition of human vulnerability, and an affirmation of trust in the divine. Let's pause there for a moment and highlight those words: humility, vulnerability, and trust. These are required if we are to seek refuge in our higher power instead of other things. Because think about it. If I'm relying on myself, I'm not asking for help. If I am full of pride and posturing, I'm not asking for help from God or from anybody else. Humility, vulnerability, and trust are necessary for true relationship. And what I mean by true relationship is one that is beyond the superficial. One of my favorite theologians, Richard Foster, began his classic book, Celebration of Discipline, with this: superficiality is the curse of our age. The doctrine of instant satisfaction is a primary spiritual problem. The desperate need today is not for a greater number of intelligent people or gifted people, but for deep, people. So that was written 47 years ago, claiming that our biggest struggle as a people was the tendency to be superficial. So it's 2025, and how's this working out for us? The truth is, we were not made to be superficial. We are wired for connection. We are spiritual beings who are meant to have deep and meaningful relationships with others and with our higher power. That takes time. That takes courage. That takes introspection and reflection. In short, it's hard work and takes effort. In order for us to seek refuge in our higher power, we need to be actively cultivating a relationship. So not just in the hard times when we are crying out and in need, but all the time. As mentioned, it takes humility, vulnerability, and trust to seek refuge in our higher power instead of our substance or behavior of choice. If we return to the Islamic thread for a moment, there is a delicate balance between reliance on Allah and the practical taking of steps. It's not an act of passive surrender, but an act of empowered trust. A trust that even in seeking refuge, believers must strive, act, and rely on Allah's wisdom. It's a call to harness both spiritual and practical dimensions in navigating life's challenges. It's a conscious choice to infuse every action with divine protection, to infuse every moment with spiritual mindfulness. And the opposite of spiritual mindfulness could be impulsiveness. Impulsivity is not our friend. We seek false refuge when we are reactive. Instead of turning to truth, we start going into our stress response, moving fast, trying to fix instead of pausing and breathing. We all may regress into this substitute when we don't want to feel the feeling we are experiencing. When we have a sense that something is wrong or we think that we are not enough, we start grasping desperately, and we use food or alcohol or drugs or spending. This is reactivity. When we are afraid, we blame and we lash out. These things give us the illusion that we are doing something as a reaction to our feelings of powerlessness. I think we all intrinsically know that false refuge never lasts. To counteract impulsivity and reactivity, pausing is a key action that we can take. A former sponsor once told me to practice going to pause land. Pause land. This is where you picture a place where you find comfort, a place of refuge, if you will. For me, that's the beach. And just go there in your mind and breathe for a moment before speaking or making a decision. It makes a big difference. It can literally be 1 or 2 breaths worth of time. Let's take 2 breaths right now. Okay, that wasn't hard, right? It makes a huge difference, but it takes a lot of practice to stop the words from coming out of our mouths reactively. It takes practice, but it's worth it. Difficult, but not impossible. That's my favorite phrase. Difficult, but not impossible. Meditation can help with this, slowing us down, slowing our minds down, quieting our minds and being still, listening, not engaging with our thoughts, not being reactive to them, just letting them roll by like leaves floating down a stream. Meditation is a wonderful pathway to seeking refuge in our higher power. The Hebrew reading for this morning gives instructions on how to treat others and essentially how to be a refuge for others. It reads, in part, if one of your fellow Israelites falls into poverty and cannot support himself, support him as you would a foreigner or a temporary resident and allow him to live with you. Do not charge interest or make a profit at his expense. Instead, show your fear of God, your respect of God, by letting him live with you as your relative, as a family member. No matter what or who we seek as our higher power, we believe that that power greater than ourselves to be pure benevolence, love, mercy, wisdom, forgiveness, and acceptance. Because that's the kind of higher power that is required in this life. Am I right? As human beings, we are not the highest power in the universe, and we strive to emulate our higher power in these traits of goodness and kindness, generosity, and love. It's a lifelong process, to be sure, but we strive and aspire to be more like our higher power each day, which is making decision after decision to do so. So if higher power is our refuge, doesn't it make sense that we would strive to be a refuge for others? To be a safe place, an accepting place, a place of comfort and protection. This Holy Scripture says that it is so, and so do other sacred writings from various traditions. The final reading I will speak to today is from the Psalms. The author writes in part, God is our refuge and strength, always ready to help in times of trouble. So we will not fear when earthquakes come and the mountains crumble into the sea. A river brings joy to the city of our God, the sacred home of the Most High. Be still and know that I am God. There are some words and phrases that jump out at me that underline what we have already thought about thus far. And there are some new points about higher power being the ultimate refuge. The first word is strength. Because how much can we really do in our own power? We are mostly powerless. So who or what better to turn to for refuge than a source of endless strength to get us through the hard times? Endless strength. I don't know about you, I don't have endless strength. I need my higher power for that. God is always ready to help in times of trouble. Our higher power is always waiting with open arms for us to turn to them. Higher power doesn't judge us on how long it took us to do so or what we might have done or left undone, but welcomes us with a spirit of aid however we need it at the time. We will not fear. Look, life can be scary. We get anxious. But when we put our trust in our higher power instead of ourselves or even other people, there is a sense of peace knowing that whatever it is in loving and capable hands. That doesn't necessarily mean it will work out the way we want it to, but our higher power is working it out in ways we cannot understand. Trust is the foundation of faith. When we humbly and consistently turn to God as a source of refuge, our trust is not squandered, and we are seldom disappointed in the results. Joy. The word joy. as in it brings innate joy to know that our higher power loves us unconditionally and is for us in every way possible. That's a whole other level of refuge right there. And be still and know that I am God. Stop trying to control all the things. Cease and desist all the doing and take the time to be. Let God handle it. Our higher power knows a lot more than we ever will, and can work things out in a way we can never understand. Let God do it. Be free of constantly having to have the reins in your hand. Hand them over. God's got this. Whatever it is, God's got this. Friends, we are in need of spiritual sanctuary, refuge of the highest order. Instead of trying to escape our problems and numb our feelings with substances or harmful behaviors or reactive speech, let's remember this current moment sitting in chapel. Imagine what it might be like for your higher power to embrace you in this moment. You can even wrap your arms around yourself if that helps. To picture that, to feel that. Maybe swaying helps you feel comfort. If hugs aren't your jam, then maybe interlace your finger like God is holding your hand. Or perhaps sitting with your higher power in your favorite place. Whatever brings you comfort. Whatever you consider a refuge. So let's sit like this for a moment and silently reflect on how and when we might implement this practice in the week to come. Let's reflect on that.